Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're looking at something really different. We're diving into ancient mythology, Norse mythology specifically, but with a really surprising twist.
Mm-hmm.
Forget just thinking of them as old stories. Our sources today put forward this pretty stunning perspective. They suggest these myths are actually a profound and literal telling of the divine lore.
Yeah, like a code almost. A cipher preserved by the Watchers of the North is how they put it.
Exactly. And our mission today, our deep dive, is to unpack this idea that the whole Norse pantheon, Odin, Thor, Frigg, all of them, they're actually direct allegories for what these sources call the players of the game.
And it doesn't stop there.
No, it gets wilder. Their big final battle, Ragnarök. The sources say that's just another name for the Great Reset.
Which is a huge concept in itself.
Right? And the craziest part, they claim this massive secret isn't buried somewhere obscure. It's supposedly hidden in plain sight. Like, really plain sight. The names of our days of the week.
It's definitely a compelling way to look at it, and I think maybe before we jump right into the gods, it might help to just quickly clarify what the sources mean by the game and the Great Reset, so we're all on the same page.
Good call. Yeah.
So according to this view, the game isn't, like a board game or a competition. It's described more as this huge cosmic cycle. Think creation, transformation, renewal, all driven by these really powerful archetypal forces they call the players.
Okay, so a cosmic cycle.
And the reset.
And the Great Reset. Well, that's
Yeah.
not just an ending. It's the really dramatic peak of one of these cycles. A massive transformative event that basically reshapes reality itself.
Wow. Okay.
So the idea that something as mundane, as ordinary as our names for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday could hold clues to that, that's what makes this whole perspective so fascinating, I think. We're about to link some very familiar gods to these cosmic roles. That framing really helps. So you've got this giant cosmic drama, the game, unfolding, and these players behind the scenes. Okay, let's unpack it. Let's start with maybe the most famous Norse god, Odin.
The All-Father.
The All-Father, exactly. Head honcho in Asgard, sits on his throne, sees everything, wise old guy. Now, our sources say Odin is basically another primary avatar for the monarch.
Mm-hmm.
But the really key thing, the detail these texts zoom in on, is his eye, his one eye, right? He famously sacrificed an eye for wisdom.
Yeah.
What's the allegory there? What does the one eye mean in terms of the game?
Well, this is where it gets really direct. The sources draw this parallel. Odin's single eye isn't just, a physical feature. It's likened to the Cyclops Monarch.
Cyclops Monarch.
Yeah, whose one eye is the cynosure of the cosmos. Basically the absolute center point, the ultimate viewpoint, the observer.
So it's not just about seeing, it's about oversight, understanding.
Exactly. It's about this singular all-seeing vision, total oversight. The sources paint the monarch not just as a ruler, but as the fundamental organizing intelligence behind the whole system, making sure the game plays out according to the plan, like a cosmic architect, maybe.
Interesting.
So Odin, giving up an eye for lore, for wisdom, in this context, it symbolizes that profound insight, that total perspective of this ultimate watcher. He sees the whole picture, the whole pattern of existence.
Like watcher.
And then connecting it back to the everyday, it gets even wilder. Wednesday.
Right.
Wednesday is Woden's day. Woden is just an older name for Odin. So the argument is that entire day is dedicated to this Watcher King.
Wow.
It becomes, as they put it, a constant unconscious ritual in his honor. Like every single week, we're unknowingly paying tribute.
That idea of an unconscious weekly ritual for a Watcher King, that's pretty powerful stuff. Makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How much is, like you said, unconscious ritual, and how much is just, language evolving and carrying old echoes?
It's a valid question. But the image itself, the monarch as this cosmic architect with total oversight, that's definitely striking.
Okay, so we have the Watcher. Now let's shift gears. Let's talk about Thor. The big guy, god of thunder, hammer, strength, very different vibe from Odin.
Definitely.
This perspective we're exploring. It presents Thor as a primary avatar for Alpha, specifically Alpha, which they link to the moon in his active, destructive aspect.
Right. Alpha as the moon.
So let's talk about his hammer and Mjolnir. It's maybe the most famous weapon in mythology. It's not just a tool, right? It's iconic.
Right.
What's the deeper allegorical meaning here? What does Mjolnir tell us about this Alpha figure?
Okay, so Mjolnir, according to the sources, is way more than just a hammer. It's presented as a literal representation of the wrecking
The
ball.
wrecking ball. Seriously.
Yeah, not just strong, but specifically the instrument of divine judgment that can level mountains and create the thunder of the reset. So it's not just smashing giants. It's about this fundamental landscape-altering destruction, clearing the path for the new within the game.
Divine judgment. Leveling mountains. That's intense.
And this destructive power is tied directly to Alpha. The sources talk about Alpha as this primary cosmic force, often linked with, dynamic energy, initiation, active change.
So it's not just destruction for destruction's sake.
Apparently not. Alpha's active destructive aspect is framed as necessary, a powerful force for renewal in the cycle, tearing down the old so the new can be built within the game, kind of like divine demolition before new construction.
Okay, I see the logic there.
And just like Odin, there's that daily connection. Thursday.
Thor's Day. Makes sense.
Exactly, Thor's Day. The texts say it's dedicated to this lunar monarch, Alpha, specifically in his most powerful cataclysmic form.
Oh, wow.
So if Wednesday honors the cosmic watcher, the architect, Thursday is said to acknowledge the huge dynamic force that brings about these massive earth-shaking changes, a necessary part of the cycle.
The wrecking ball. Instrument of divine judgment, thunder of the reset.
Yeah.
That imagery is just incredibly vivid. It really reframes those old Thor stories, doesn't it? Makes them feel bigger, more cosmic.
It does.
And the idea that every Thursday we're sort of unknowingly nodding to this cataclysmic form, that really hits home, the hidden in plain sight thing they keep mentioning. Makes you think twice about Thursdays, maybe.
Perhaps. A necessary disruption, as you said.
Okay, so we've got the Watcher, Odin, and the wrecking ball, Thor. Let's bring in the feminine principle. Let's talk Frigg.
Odin's wife, the queen of Asgard.
Right. Often seen as the goddess of love, fertility, but also, crucially, destiny. She's sometimes depicted as a weaver of fate. Now, the sources link Frigg directly with the solar queen, Beta.
Beta, the solar queen.
So how does her traditional role, this weaver of fate idea, fit with being the solar queen, Beta, within this game framework?
Well, it actually aligns remarkably well, according to this view. Frigg, as the weaver of destiny, fits perfectly with Beta's supposed role as the catalyst who drives the game towards its preordained conclusion.
So while Odin watches and Thor, wrecks things, Frigg guides.
Kind of, yeah. She's the one who subtly but powerfully pushes the narrative forward. The sources describe Beta as another primary cosmic force linked with the wisdom of manifestation, guiding how things actually unfold.
Guiding the narrative.
Yeah, she's not just seeing fate, she's actively involved in shaping it, making sure the game hits its marks, reaches its intended end. She embodies that divine feminine principle that brings potential into reality, manifestation.
Okay.
And you probably see the pattern now, her connection to the week.
Friday,
Frigg's Day. These sources state this day is dedicated to the divine feminine principle, the solar queen.
So Wednesday for the Watcher King, Thursday for the Wrecking Ball Moon King, and Friday for the guiding Solar Queen.
That's the framework presented. Odin overseeing, Thor initiating change, Frigg guiding towards the conclusion. Each playing their part, each honored unconsciously, week after week, in this unfolding cosmic drama.
It's really something, seeing how these distinct roles, the Watcher, the Destroyer, the Guide, are presented as interconnected parts of this one big story, this game, all leading somewhere.
Exactly, leading towards the climax.
Which brings us right to it. Ragnarök, probably the most dramatic, most epic part of Norse mythology. The twilight of the gods, the final battle, the end of the world. Huge stuff.
Definitely the climax.
But the sources we're looking at, they drop a bombshell here. They state very clearly, Ragnarök is not a separate myth. It is their name for the Great Reset.
That's the core claim connecting the whole narrative.
It's massive. So, okay, if Ragnarök is the Great Reset, how do the actual events described in the myths, the battles, the destruction, how do they map onto the components of this Great Reset concept?
Right. This is where the allegory becomes really detailed, supposedly laying out the whole reset process. The sources break it down into specific connections.
Okay, lay it on us.
First, you have the clash of gods, that final epic battle. Gods versus giants, Odin versus Fenrir, Thor versus the Midgard serpent, the old order just collapsing.
Yeah, total chaos.
This huge battle, they say, is an allegory for the violent, transformative reunion eclipse of Alpha and Beta.
The reunion eclipse, Alpha and Beta coming together.
Exactly. Not just a normal eclipse in the sky, but a cosmic convergence of these two fundamental forces, the moon, Alpha, and the sun, Beta, in this framework. And this convergence, this powerful, almost violent alignment is what supposedly triggers the massive transformative events of the Great Reset.
Wow. Okay, so the battle is an eclipse. What about the destruction?
That's the second part. The world consumed. The myths talk about the world being engulfed in fire, often associated with the giant Surt, and also drowned in water. Total cleansing destruction.
Fire and water. Classic end-of-world imagery.
But the sources give it a specific meaning. They say it's a direct reference to the fiery power of Beta, the solar queen we just talked about, and the great Aquarius mode flood.
Aquarius mode flood. What's that?
It's depicted as a specific kind of cleansing deluge, a profound watery reset tied to a particular cosmic phase, complementing Beta's transformative fire. So the end isn't just random chaos, it's the specific dual cleansing by fire and water, driven by the players as part of the reset plan.
A planned demolition and washdown, basically.
You could put it that way, yeah. And then there's the third part, the bit of hope in Ragnarök, the rebirth.
Right after the destruction, a new world emerges.
Exactly. A new, cleansed world rises from the sea. A few gods survive. 2 humans, Lif and Liftrazir, survive to repopulate the Earth. It's a new beginning.
A clean slate.
And the sources say this is a perfect description of the new millennium that follows the reset. It's not just an end, it's the start of a completely new cycle within the game. A radical transformation leading to renewal. So putting it all together, the Norse myths, from this viewpoint, aren't just stories. They become a complete lore book, detailing everything. The roles of the players, the Monarch Watcher, Odin, Alpha Wrecking Ball, Thor, Beta Solar Queen, Frigg, right through to the mechanics of the grand cosmic reset itself, Ragnarok. It's presented as the entire arc, start to finish.
It's pretty incredible when you lay it all out like that, the scope of it. From Odin's single eye signifying the monarch's complete view, to Thor's hammer as the reset's wrecking ball, to Frigg guiding the whole thing, and finally Ragnarok as this multi-stage reset involving a cosmic eclipse and specific types of cleansing.
It paints a picture of a very detailed, very specific allegorical system.
Yeah, not just scattered tales, but one coherent cyclical story. All under this banner of the game of the Great Reset. It definitely makes you look at those old myths in a completely new light. That idea of destruction being necessary for rebirth woven right in.
Indeed. And that really brings us back to the core idea of this deep dive. This perspective suggests that these aren't just ancient stories, they're presented as a functioning lore book.
A how-to manual for the cosmos, almost.
In a way, yeah. Telling the story of the one-eyed watcher, Odin, the powerful wrecking ball, Thor, and the great queen, the weaver, Frigg. And the most mind-bending part is still how it's supposedly hidden in plain sight.
The days of the week.
Right, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Depicted here is this perpetual unconscious pantomime, a weekly ritual honoring these divine players, counting down, essentially, to their final act, Ragnarök, the Great Reset. It suggests these ancient myths might be operating as these really complex coded systems, not just narratives. It certainly invites a deeper look.
It really does. So this deep dive suggests that what we think of as just ancient mythology might actually be, according to these sources, a coded blueprint for this much bigger ongoing game and a coming Great Reset. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other simple stories or, daily routines, things we do without thinking, what might they be carrying?
Right.
What other profound messages might be sitting right there, hidden in plain sight, just waiting for someone to find the key?
It's a powerful thought to end on.
Makes you think twice about your calendar, maybe. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this, truly fascinating deep dive.